Hello everyone.
Hi guys.
Welcome back to the Loft. Today another house that I think probably not many people have heard of. We've fallen in love with it. Dan introduced me again.
A little bit of I kind of found out about it by Instagram, and just a few of the fragrances that they described they just sounded right up my street. I thought I had to try them. So this is fragrances from Francesca Bianchi, and I will just say, so we've got 5 here which we've tried. So there's samples which I bought, I paid for. They are the most kind of overtly sexual 5 fragrances.
Yeah.
They are all sex. They're absolute sex.
We hate that. We don't ever do that.
We want fresh and clean and unintrusive. Really. So she studied history of art in Florence and now lives in the Netherlands in Amsterdam. And I think she kind of sells art books, and then she's a self-taught perfumer. So she designs the fragrances and then they are produced in Italy. Anyway, should we get let's get stuck in. So, having said these are overtly sexual, let's start with the one which the newest release, I believe, called Lover's Tale. These are all 98 euros for a 30ml extray.
It's good value.
They all last a very long time. So X-ray is very, very high concentration. So 30ml of these, I found for all of them, will go a very long way. So if you think, oh, you only get 30ml for almost 100 euros, that's not good value for money. I really think it is. Before we even talk about the quality, just in terms of bang for your buck.
I can already smell this.
Yeah, this is.
And nothing's been sprayed. That's incredible.
Look at the colour of this as well.
Yeah.
So this is her. Oh gosh,
it's stunning.
She talks about this as a lover's secret encounter. So you get a lot of florals in the opening. I'm just going to waft it around like that. A lot of heliotrope. Kind of quite. There's
very moody again.
There's also honey which kind of binds this up as well.
Am I wrong in thinking I'm getting a little bit of that wonderful ripe cheesy thing that I get? A little bit, yeah.
There's a little bit of funk. So it's interesting, kind of heliotrope.
Furry.
I definitely get. Do you get orris root as well?
Yeah.
We've had these samples for a little while.
Absolutely.
I've worn them. I found them all to be quite complex, and there was a lot going on to them. And as I wore them over the day, more and more was revealed. Throughout the fragrance. So if you're interested in really complex fragrances, these are great ones to try. Now, as this kind of undressed itself, developed, I started getting this real kind of chypre body to it. And in particular, I really started to think of Mitsuku. I got this kind of apricot-y, or kind of like peachy, chypre kind of feel to it, which is really and
it's not a million miles away at all, is it?
Which made me, she says it's kind of a lover's encounter. It made me think that it's it is an encounter between one person wearing Mitsuku and somebody else.
Yeah. Oh, but no, it's beautiful, and again, it respects this wonderful old world vintage classical perfumery.
Yeah. I think a lot of these have got that real kind of old school structure and the use of florals.
I've got such respect for that.
And the feel that there's a real pyramid. It's not just like she's not expecting you to go into an airport, first spray and buy it based on the first note. This is really complex, really beautiful, really sexy. And I found
you're just not smelling stuff like this on the market today.
When I looked at some of the notes list, I saw there are quite a lot of florals. Are they going to come off as feminine? I don't find this feminine because there's a deep intensity. There's also a lot of resin, I think, at the back of that.
It smells to me. It smells to me like a combination that you would have from 2 people.
Doing the thing. I think it's maybe there must
very
be
human
oak
smell
moss in as well, which gives it that kind of bitter, rich kind of depth.
There's a lot of body there without actually a lot of weight. It's not weighty in that sense, but it has a lot of depth. It's like a 3D picture rather than a 2D picture.
Amazing. Right, what is the one I've got next? Now, speaking of big,
this is a great house already.
This is really good. So this is called Dark Side. And it really does exactly what it says on the tin. I mean, can you get all off to that? Whew. Whoa! So this is incense. This is incense, honey, and resin. And oh god, this is really beautiful. A lot of big, rich styrax. Some people
I love that.
some people find, say, Starbucks is a note which they struggle to deal with. But I think here it's really balanced by a slightly brighter incense and this really rich kind of sweet honey.
The sweetness of it actually it smooths it out a lot.
Yeah. Again, this is one I'm looking down at my notes because this is one which it does change a lot as you wear it. As it opened up, I started to get iris and violet in the mid. This opening is almost, it's almost a bit of a kind of a punch in the face. It's such a big, it's almost an olfactory assault. But in the middle, it does become more nuanced. And when I was wearing this, I felt like a bit like, it's not exactly, but to me it felt like almost the marriage of two fragrances, which I love. One was Interlude by Amouage, and the other one was Cher by Serge Lutens. So we've talked about, she refers to Lover's Tale as a sexual encounter, but there's almost like a marriage of two things. On one hand, you've got this big resinous beast going on. The other hand, you've got this kind of like honey and florals and a kind of complexity with a slight kind of sheepery heart.
Yeah. It's absolutely. I know what you mean about the Shaggy and Interlude thing.
It doesn't smell exactly. It doesn't smell like you've sprayed it on one hand. It doesn't smell like that. I'm talking about more of the characters of the two things.
But it's got the sort of brooding, gothic sort of darkness of something like Interlude. But then there's a sort of brightness to it as well. I always find Shaggy actually has a bit of a sort of a bright, smiling nature.
Yeah.
That hay, that sort of cherry tobacco thing.
Yeah.
Again, I do get this deeply sexual.
Oh, it's so sexual. I don't know if there's a bit of cumin or something, or some animalics, but it somehow feels human and a little bit.
But it doesn't feel dirty in a way. Like it
feels a little bit dirty.
But it's human. It's like
it's dirty in a good way.
Smell of human.
Yeah, exactly.
People doing
things. Talking about dirty and skin, the next one is called Under My Skin, which I've hardly got any of this left at all, because this is one I wore quite a lot. And she refers to this as my personal interpretation of the animalic theme, not loud but whispered. Oh, so this is a kind of animalic leather. Oh, that immediately feels.
Yeah, that's hefty.
I mean, this is really quite sexual. So the way she builds this leather accord is with orris. So this orris is big and round, so it's not a gentle, polite orris. It's quite big and chunky, and almost feels like you could bite into this orris. It's really, it's quite kind of big and robust.
I get also that wonderful thing of like a really old, rich, stewed Christmas cake. Just something.
There's old. I see what you mean about Old Spice. Not Old Spice of fragrances, but that old spiced feeling. There's also quite a lot of florals in this, as well as the orris. The orris gives more of a thick leathery feel, but the floral I get a lot. I think there's definitely carnation, which for me steers this towards the masculine. It feels like those old school, like Trumper use carnation in some of their fragrances. And old school, exactly. It steers this, I find, in a way, to feel quite masculine, even though it's this orris-y, leathery, animalic.
Sometimes orris comes across to me as smelling a little bit like paper again.
There's a lovely sweetness to it as well.
Very beautiful.
I know exactly what you mean by paper.
But I get like that.
You can almost
freshly opened Latin book or something.
Really beautiful.
And Ghost House by Anna Zorinka, what she's called, I can't pronounce it.
Oh, this is really
Terps paint,
and again, eventually that iris gives a slight kind of a chalky feel. This is another complex really fragrance which lasts a very long time. It didn't. The protection of this was not enormous, but this lasted 12 hours easily. Whereas Dark Side was a bit bigger. I found Lover's Tale and Under the Skin both sat a little bit closer to the skin, as the name would suggest. The next one.
What a house!
Let's do Angel's Dust. Now, there are a few notes which, when I look at them, I think, oh, I don't like that. I don't. And this has got mimosa in it, which can occasionally come off as this kind of sweet, candy flossy floral.
Yeah. Bit poppy, bit obvious.
Whereas this, now. Tell me what the first thing is when you smell this. I got such a clear picture of something as soon as I sprayed this. I felt it smells like a stick of rock. To me, so I'll put up a picture. But on British Seaside, you get this stick of big plastic rock, which is very minty and refreshing and uplifting.
I don't quite get rock, but I get something. I get something like confectionery, like winter mixture sweets.
Oh yeah,
which
I know.
Are like big aniseedy.
I think there's like a kind of
humbuggy things.
I don't know if it's incense or freshly cracked pepper as well that I got with it as well, which again gives this kind of brightness and lightness and energy to it. I definitely got this minty thing at the beginning, and eventually I got a kind of creamy sandalwood and a hint of rose added a kind of a round depth to it.
It's funny, you know, minus those sort of top notes and the mention of mimosa, I get something not a million miles away from like an old classic Annick Goutal, like you know, Encens Flamboyant or something like that.
These all of these
old
fragrances
Bangalore sandalwood
have a real classic integrity.
Yeah.
You know, and a kind of respect of the classics.
That feels very much like an old sandalwood, beautifully done. It's not sandalwood, but it's in the mould.
Last one, again, keeping on the sexual theme, this is Sex and the Sea. Now, so this one also had mimosa listed, and it's interesting that it also, to me, gave me this fresh, minty vibe. This is the one with pineapple and coconut in it.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, isn't it
so interesting? I was expecting quite a fresh aquatic sort of thing, and there's so much more already.
Oh no, absolutely not. But
there's
again,
so much going on there.
I don't know if the mimosa creates this kind of minty feel. This is incredibly uplifting.
Yeah.
This is not like any summery fragrance I've smelled before. The one it reminds me of a tiny bit is of what I did on my holidays, which is a 4-1-60 Tuesdays.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know if I got this idea of a stick of rock kind of fixed in my mind, but this has a little bit of warmth and kind of depth.
I'm getting my rubber beach ball thing again.
She describes it as the wild intimacy of an erotic encounter on the seaside,
which we love.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't? There's also ambergris in it, which gives that kind of salty, round warmth.
I get a big salty mineral rock aspect.
Yeah, it has definitely got a mineralic quality, hasn't it? Of actually not just kind of salty sea, but almost, you know, like a rock pool.
Yeah,
you know, something sitting by the seaside.
Yeah, you know, if you have certain white wines. Yeah, they have this big minerality.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
I really get that there, but like a salty sweet thing at the same time.
And when I wore this on my skin, again, I found it, as I found with a lot of these fragrances, I found it to be very complex. It wasn't what, you know, we're just smelling off the cap here.
This is it, isn't it? But this is nothing like how they probably actually.
But it really,
ended up going.
For me, even though it did feel like it had a fresh, bright quality, there was some kind of hug underneath it, which gave it a warmth and gave it a complexity that you rarely encounter in something which is obviously, you know, aimed as something you wear in the summer and to suggest the seaside.
Absolutely. It's sort of beach in the afternoon, but then you're going to wear this for the next 12 hours while you're sat indoors, maybe. And I think the coconut, out of the sea. The coconut in this, rather than it being some kind of fresh cocktail, is more like the coconut oil, which you've rubbed all over your skin, and you've got hot, and maybe it's just mingled a little bit with sweat. Yeah. I think I get a bit of magic marker or something as well. I don't know. Yeah. Again, that's I think these ones which on skin just seem to come alive a lot more than they are on card. I bet they do. I mean, I certainly. When I tried these initially, I sprayed under my skin a lot, and I really liked that. And I thought, right, this is the one I'm going to buy. This is the one I'm going to buy. I really like it. I think, just as a note, if you buy the sample set first, and then you go on to buy a fragrance, she takes €15 off of the price. Oh, that's good. Of the full bottle. Yeah. So I was definitely thinking, what am I going to get? I really liked under my skin, and I thought, oh, I can see myself wearing that lot. That's like this one. That's right up my street. That kind of leathery but quite complex. Really interested. Yeah. And then I also like Dark Side. Smell that kind of sweetness and the balls to that. Oh, yeah. But actually, this Sex and the Sea, I don't own anything else like this. You certainly don't have anything called Sex in the Sea. No, sadly not. I haven't got any fragrances with the word sex. I have one.
Or C? What have you got?
Sex Appeal.
Oh, Sex Appeal. Yeah, this is a bit better than Sex Appeal.
£7 hit.
But I actually, as I wore this, I really thought, the Sex and the Sea I'm talking about, there's nothing quite like this which I own. Yeah. And actually, this is the one I actually could see myself adding. So really exciting house, and one I think I can really see myself investing in. But
and we're going to keep an eye on this house from now on. I think certainly
to see what she does next.
What are they coming up with? And this is like, if this is a taster,
it's amazing when someone hits the ground running like this. Started with fragrances as big as bold. I mean, she released some in 2016, so she's been going a couple of years.
Wow.
But showing such confidence, originality, but yet, we were saying, paying homage to the great classics.
Yeah, you feel as if she's not just going out on a limb. She has a real understanding of where it's come from, which is nice.
But if you've tried them, let us know your experiences and let us know what you think if you've found something different. But go out and try them because they're really gorgeous.
Francesca Bianchi.
Frances White.
Frances White.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, Frances White.
Frances White.
Which sounds far less exotic.
Yeah, so I would stick with Francesca Bianchi. But tell us what you think. Go out and try them. Love them. They're all deeply, deeply sexual.
Really beautiful. Extra.
So, until next time, happy sniffing.
Bye.